On Tech News Today, Apple buys a major motion capture company used by Hollywood. But why? Plus, a new live streaming camera clips to your clothes and records everything you see and streams it live. And Vine videos come to the Apple Watch. It's all coming up next on Tech News Today.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Wednesday, November 25th, 2015. This episode is brought to you by PillPack, a full-service pharmacy that combines personalized service, convenient packaging, and modern technology to make your life easier. Visit PillPack.com/twit to save $20 on vitamins and OTCs when you transfer your prescription. Tech News Today is the show where we talk about the tech news with the journalists who report it. My name is Mike Elgan, and our co-anchor today is ZDNet contributing writer Kevin Tofel. Hey, Kevin, how are you doing this? We're less than, 24 hours away from the beginning of the fantastic American Thanksgiving holiday. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I mean, the holiday might have started for some. I might have Kahlua in here. You never know.
You might.
No, I don't. Yeah. The Thanksgiving holiday is getting ready to kick off. And of course, what follows with that is Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and all that. So people are going to be online buying a ton of stuff, I'm sure, and running out to the stores probably as early as 5 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. It's going to be crazy, I'm sure.
My favorite thing about Black Friday and Black Monday or Cyber Monday is that it's all opt-out, and I tend to opt out. I don't think I've been involved or participated in any way for like 5 or 6 years. And I really enjoy just the knowledge that people are out there freezing their butts off, standing in line, waiting to stampede into some superstore, and then spend a huge amount of money on something that will be obsolete in 3 months.
Yeah,
So
there's that, and also just people standing in line fighting with each other. I saw that once a couple years back. That's it for me. I'm done. I'll stay at home. Thank you.
Yeah, and enjoy the videos on YouTube. All right, well, let's jump into the news. Apple has acquired a company called FaceShift, which makes the motion capture technology used in the upcoming Star Wars movie, The Force Awakens. FaceShift specializes in applying the real-time facial expressions of an actor to a 3D animation. Terms were not disclosed in this, and Kevin Tofel, I think this is something that one has to speculate because this technology is not applicable, to the best of my knowledge, to any known Apple product or service. What do you think they're going to use this for, this amazing technology?
Yeah, this really came out of left field to some degree. I mean, it reminded me of, the Apple tie-in with Pixar back in the day with Steve Jobs, but I don't think it's about making movies or anything like that. My guess is gaming. I'm gonna go with gaming on that. And there have been examples of that in the past. I remember I used to play the Tiger Woods game, the EA game on Xbox, and you could actually take a photo of your face and they would apply it to the character in the game. It's very rudimentary, but this would be totally different. So I don't know if it's something that they have planned for Apple TV gaming, perhaps. Maybe log in to devices, facial recognition, but it's a tough call, really tough call. I don't know what they're going to do with this, quite honestly.
One of the fun things about being a technology journalist who spends lots of time, as you do, thinking about what's coming and seeing and putting together all of the trend lines is that sometimes you see a technology of perfect inevitability, and the public doesn't see it because they're not immersed all day in this kind of information. And one of these inevitabilities is virtual reality and mixed reality. It's going to be huge. Everyone who tries the really good versions of virtual reality and mixed reality walks away transformed. It's so compelling and addictive and engaging that it's absolutely going to become a mainstream major consumer medium. And a company like Apple is going to know that as well. So I think your gaming prediction is a good one. Virtual reality in general is a good one. And I think it's just a certainty that so much social networking will take place in virtual spaces, kind of a Second Life thing, but 3D, 360 degrees, you can walk around. And this will require, for the absolute maximum degree of engagement, for your physical movements to be sort of semi-automated, but your facial expressions and your hand gestures to be actually reflected reflective of what you're actually doing. So, for example, when you laugh or smile or wink or do whatever, your virtual reality avatar will do the exact same thing and engage with another avatar, etc. It's absolutely going to be a major factor, whether it's in 3 years or more like 10 years. It's absolutely going to come, and companies like Apple are going to want to be in front of it. That's not to say that that's what they're going to do with this. Another possibility is that they're going to become a content creation studio, and they want to make a new kind of content to be consumed passively by consumers. And yet another one, which is a long shot, I think, is simple a desktop replacement for video chat, so a replacement for Skype. So a lot of people are shy about being on camera, so what they could do is substitute an avatar for the actual person, and they can carry on conversations. You hear the real voice, you'd see the real expressions in real time, and so on. But it can be some other character, it can be a cartoon version of yourself, it can be a bear, it could be anything, and that's yet another possibility. But I think I'm with you. I think this is really a long play for some sort of virtual reality or virtual reality gaming of some kind.
I like the idea of using a different avatar for a video chat. You know, you can make yourself look like anyone or look better, which is nice. We should probably note the Apple bought PrimeSense about 2 years ago. That's the company that is behind the Microsoft Kinect sensor. So it may be another loose tie-in to gaming, but just technology in general, this type of technology. So it's not the first such purchase, but it's an interesting one because they haven't purchased anything very much like this before. So I'm still going to go with the gaming thing and see what they do.
Yeah, and it's exciting. And of course, unfortunately, Apple doesn't talk about this stuff. They have this canned statement they make every time any journalist asks them about an acquisition. They trot it out. I don't even know why stories still report this line. It's the same line. You know they're going to say it, and they're not going to say anything until they're actually shipping a product. So it's going to be a while before we hear about this company again. I'm quite certain of that. Well, we got some more news coming up in just a sec, but I want to talk about our sponsor, PillPack, which is the future of the pharmacy. And I love this company because, when I was in school, my teachers would always tell my parents, Mike is very disruptive. And that's why I have a lot of sympathy for companies like this that are disrupting industries. This is an extremely disruptive company, and they're disrupting all the problems that exist in the world of getting your prescriptions filled and taking medications and vitamins and other things that you need to take. There are all kinds of problems. For example, if you want to fulfill your prescription, you actually have to go to a physical pharmacy and stand in line with a lot of sick people for a long time. And then you get up to, at least in my experience, and then you get up to the window, and then you have to discuss the most private medical situations with a person as you're surrounded by all these other people. And then you have to rely on them to get your medication right. And then if you have multiple medications, it's this confusing mess. This one I take every other day. This one I take 3 times a day. What do I take? How long do I take it? What is this I'm taking exactly? It's a real problem that I think lots and lots of people suffer from. And of course, PillPack solves all this. And here's how they do it. It's such a great system that they have. They have super modern technology, artificial intelligence technology, and robotics working with highly qualified pharmacists to take all the things that you have to take, all the pills and capsules you have to take that are either prescribed or over the counter, or your vitamins and minerals. And they put them into individualized packets that have the exact time of day, the date that you're supposed to take it, the exact contents, and then they string it together into this long tape thing. And when it's time for you to take your medications, you walk up and you just rip off the current packet. And then you empty the contents and you take those pills, and you know exactly what you're taking. You know exactly what time you're supposed to take. You know if you missed one for some reason, you know you've missed it. And they handle a lot of the other hassles involved in getting your pharmacy business taken care of as well. For example, they interface directly with your doctor. They interface directly with your insurance company. They just handle all the annoying and problematic and embarrassing and inconvenient aspects of your medications and just deliver you a box, and you just follow the simple instructions and you're good to go. It's such a great company. And here's what I want you to do. Visit pillpack.com/twit to sign up now. And when you use our link and transfer your prescriptions over to PillPack, you'll get credit for $20 worth of vitamins and over-the-counter medications. That's PillPack.com/twit. And we love this company, and we thank them for their support of Tech News Today. Google added new information about its compliance with Europe's right to be forgotten rules on the company's transparency report page. If you recall from our previous coverage, the right to be forgotten is a requirement in Europe for search engines to censor search results from a search where the person's name is actually the search query and when that person requests deletion under certain circumstances. And for the first time, Google specified the top sites affected. These are in order, Facebook, Profile Engine, we'll get to that one in a minute, Google Groups, of all things, YouTube, Badu, Google+, and a French site called Annuaire, and of course, Twitter. And Kevin Tofel, they've reported that they've censored 1,234,092 URLs from search engine results in Europe, and this is quite an astonishing update, I think, and I love the way they handle this. They're not being passive aggressive. They're saying, here are the facts that we are allowed to report, and there they are. And I, for one, am very much against the right to be forgotten. I think it's a terrible idea. That million plus URLs that have been deleted from that to me is damage. That's the degree to which Google search has been made inaccurate and non-reflective of what's actually legally on the web in Europe.
Yeah, it's there's two sides to the story, just like there is, for every story. In general, I agree, right to be forgotten. I'm not a huge fan of it because you're right. I mean, we're creating collectively throughout the globe this massive information database that Google and others are indexing. And to remove data from that, it does harm that database. But I could see in a few certain circumstances where damage could happen because there's something out there that really somebody doesn't want or shouldn't be out there. So unfortunately, it is what it is. I mean, Europe has passed the law and Google is complying and they're being very transparent about it. That data is from the end of May for all their requests, 1.2 million URLs. And, it's a big number. And I'm not surprised that you see the Facebooks and the Twitters and the YouTubes and such on there. The social type media sites would probably be the bigger places where people would not want to have certain information out. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And this Profile Engine business came out of nowhere. I had never heard of Profile Engine. It's the #2 site that's affected by the right to be forgotten. And apparently it's a site where you can go and essentially do searches on people. You can put in all the information you know. I've seen these kinds of sites before. Typically, in my experience, what they do is they have sort of they lead you on and say, oh, yeah, we'll give you all kinds of information about this person. And you put in a couple of things and like, well, for only $19.95, we'll tell you the information you really want to know. In this case, I'm looking at the site now. It has, you put in the first and last name, if you know the age, all this kind of stuff. And then you can search. So it's basically a people search engine of some kind. Mm-hmm. So, affected by the right to be forgotten. Who knew? All right. Well, the UK carrier EE is launching a live streaming camera called the 4G EE, possibly pronounced 4G. It's called a 4G EE capture cam. The camera is comparable to the narrative clip, if you're familiar with that live streaming device. It can attach to your shirt or your jacket or whatever and capture scenes from your life. But the big difference is that 4G EE streams live over 4G with the push of a button. It's got an 8-megapixel camera that streams 720p video. And best of all, the camera doesn't use a smartphone for its internet connection, so it's got a SIM card in it. It directly interfaces with the carrier. Now, the device comes with a range of prices depending on prepaid data options selected, and this range starts at just under $200. Kevin Tofel, I'm fascinated by this category. I'm fascinated by live streaming. I don't really do it, but I'm sort of a lurker and a kind of a fan. I just don't want to spend the money on this sort of thing.
Well, there's the money up front for it, and then because it doesn't use a smartphone, which is ingenious, yes, but it's going to cost you money along the way for the data plan for the device. So personally, not a fan of every single device having its own data plan when maybe my phone can be a hotspot and I have enough gigabytes of data to use and so on. But it's an interesting play by a carrier. I mean, it makes sense that they're offering it with a plan. I mean, that's their line of business. So as far as live streaming itself, my life's too boring to do. I actually used to have a webcam on my desk, and I think my cats were the only ones that watched it. So I don't bother with that.
Yeah, I know the feeling. My life goes from super boring to super exciting, then back to boring. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to Colombia and Panama, And that should be super exciting. And I'd love to have something like this. Of course, I wouldn't be able to live stream in a lot of the places that I'll go because I won't have good coverage. But still, it's I don't know. This kind of thing is cool, and it's also fascinates me the psychology of this sort of technology, because people will call this a privacy violation. But of course, if you're using Meerkat or Periscope, now that's fine. It's exactly the same thing, but it's on a smartphone, so it's all good. Anyway, so interesting product. We'll be keeping an eye on it, see if anybody buys the thing. Well, in other news, Bloomberg Businessweek is reporting that furniture giant Ikea is developing a smart table for the kitchen called the Table for Living. A camera pointed down at the table captures the ingredients you're cooking with and sends these images to a home PC where special Ikea software will identify the foods, process the information, send it back, and a projector above the table beams down cooking instructions and contextual information right onto the table. This looks like every single home of the future we've seen, Kevin Tofel, in the last 10 years. I want it. I can't wait to see something like this. I wonder how accurate it's going to be. I'm not sure how easy it is for this kind of technology to identify, a mass of green leafy things. But still, I can't wait to see how this actually works.
Well, I'm hoping that it actually works as well. And I don't recall exactly when it was, but it was Bill Gates' last CES keynote, so about 4 or 5 years ago. I don't know if you were there, Mike, but I was there, and I saw him show the home of the future, Microsoft's vision, and they had a table just like this. It had a camera above it, and it would tell you based on what foods are on the table, what the recipe would be, and so on and so forth. And that doesn't take away from this at all. I mean, it was a great idea and vision, and I would love to see IKEA actually develop this. And their hope is to actually make it priced as the same cost as a regular IKEA countertop or table. So if they can bring that technology in and the smarts in for the same price as a regular table, I mean, this could take off like wildfire.
It could very well do. And, you mentioned Microsoft. Microsoft makes the absolute best vision of how technology will work in the future videos that anybody makes. So if you're interested in their vision for the future, which is breathtaking, it's a great vision, and they come out with one every few years, search for Microsoft Productivity Future Vision on YouTube, and you'll see their most recent video. You can see slightly older ones if you look for Future Vision 2020. That was done a couple of years ago, but these videos are great. They show all kinds, future of mobile devices, the way that you have heads-up display information embedded into a car windows, seamless identification of objects and so on. And their kitchen technology is great. They have all this information about what's in the fridge right on the outside of the refrigerator. Great stuff, and I absolutely love their vision videos. And unfortunately, it'll be a couple more years before we get another one. I do believe that the current Microsoft, the Satya Nadella Microsoft, is more likely to bring these things to market. It's been frustrating where Microsoft had this fantastic vision and then they come out with Windows Vista, and you're like, how are these coming from the same company? That thing in the video, make that. Work on that. All right. Well, we got a follow-up for you. In my response Friday to a TNT fan who emailed us about our coverage of Facebook's real names policy, I expressed sympathy for Facebook in the case of a Vietnamese Australian who complained that Facebook didn't accept his real name, which could be pronounced by a non-Vietnamese speaker as something offensive and profane. And now the guy behind that assertion said the whole thing was a hoax and that his actual name is Joe Carr, although maybe that name should be verified as well. Joe Carr. There's always some Joe Carr out there making stuff up. Anyway, there it is. It was a hoax, apparently, as far as we know. Well, in product update news, Twitter's Vine got a new iOS update yesterday. And if you got an Apple Watch, that means you can now watch Vine videos on your wrist. Vine for Apple Watch has two feeds called Favorites and Features. Favorites shows Vines from people you've picked. Features shows Vines that Vine has picked for you. And the app also lets you add a Vine complication to your Apple Watch face. Kevin Tofel, do people want to watch videos on their wrist?
Well, I can't speak for everybody, but I do not. I think this is just a ploy to get some kind of Vine functionality on the watch. To me, Apple Watch or any smartwatch for that matter, it's more useful to provide me useful, personalized information, contextual information at a glance. It just shouldn't be a second screen or third screen for some people to watch videos and so on. I mean, I certainly won't use this feature. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, and people, I don't think people will really get into this, and hopefully they won't while they're driving, stuff like that. But yeah, it's I think Facebook has been very, very wise about the smartwatch. Here's the big revolution. You have this massive company that really is aggressive about being on all these different platforms, and their whole approach to the smartwatch revolution is, I don't really see what we're going to do on this thing. And Twitter's jumping in here, but I really don't think this is what smartwatches are really going to be all about. We got a big number for you today, 30 million. That's how many PlayStation 4 video game consoles Sony says they've sold since the PlayStation 4 went on sale in late 2013. That's an impressive number, Kevin Tofel. That's a rare win for Sony.
Yeah, and they need it. I mean, they've been struggling on the mobile side for a while and such. It's a lot of consoles. Obviously, with the holiday sales coming up, they'll sell a ton more. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna duck. I'm an Xbox One guy, so sorry, Sony, can't help you, but you're doing quite well. That's good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in news you can lose, with the upcoming Star Wars movie, The Force Awakens, opening in theaters December 18th, Google is demonstrating that, in fact, the Force is strong with that company. Google rolled out an Easter egg yesterday that appears when you search for the phrase, "a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away." Here's what happens when you search for that phrase on Google Search. Yeah, you get the search results in the streaming into space look of the way that the original Star Wars and all the Star Wars opens. And those are live links. That's actually the search results. And of course, when I first saw this yesterday, there was a lot of Star Wars stuff, but now, of course, most of the results are about this Easter egg.
Imagine if Twitter was like that.
Yeah.
It would just continuously go forever and ever.
Yeah, that'd be cool. All right, well, we got a comment from a TNT fan via YouTube from Matthew LaFlamme, who was referring to our coverage of the UK-only Domino's pizza button. He said, "Now you know how it feels to have a tech product not released in your country yet. It's just a pizza ordering button, at least, not an app or an actual useful product such as YouTube Red, Music Search, Pandora, Android Pay, Google Voice, Nexus devices." The list can go on and on. And touche to you, Matthew, although I have experienced that. I've lived abroad quite a bit, and it's frustrating to, everybody's talking about stuff like Pandora, Netflix, all this other stuff, and they're just completely not available in many, many countries around the world. So, touche to you. Well, our TNT fan of the day is Edward Sescanetto in Houston, Texas, who took this picture. He was watching Tech News Today while editing a model photo shoot, and there is Kevin Tofel in all his glory. This is from like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I think.
We don't need to clarify which is the model, do we?
I always confuse it. Yeah, it's hard to tell.
It's very easy to tell.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. Well, show us how you watch or listen to TNT. Just record a video or take a picture of yourself or your setup and post it on Instagram, Google+, Twitter, or Facebook. And please use the hashtag HowIWatchTNT so we can find your photo or video. Kevin Tofel, after the holiday, what are you going to be working on and where can people find it?
That's a good question. I've made my decision, my 2-in-1 decision. I'm returning my Surface Pro 4, and I wrote a large post, 1,500 words on why I chose an iPad Pro, which most people cannot do, as my primary device. And I'm going to continue testing the waters with that and see what new tech there is to talk about. I'm over at zdnet.com.
Wonderful. And on Twitter at Kevin C. Tofel. Now, Kevin, a lot of people, just before I let you cut you loose here, the consensus, which doesn't exist around the iPad, as we were talking before the show, there's a lot of controversy about whether it's the greatest thing ever or the worst thing ever, or I think everybody agrees is the most overpriced thing ever. But the people seem to love the pencil, and the technology behind the pencil is absolutely amazing. But some people, including, I believe I'm getting this right, Andy Anatko, who say that the keyboard for the Microsoft Surface Pro is superior to the iPad Pro. Do you have any thoughts on that comparison?
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. It is much better, more key travel. You obviously have a trackpad that you can use, and you've got mouse support and the operating system. So it is much better. The Apple keyboard, the smart keyboard, it's nice, but the keys are very shallow. I'm coming from a MacBook 12, so it's not too bad for me. But I would concur. I mean, it's definitely got the better keyboard, the Microsoft product. And as I said in my post numerous times, if you want or need Windows, the Surface Pro 4 is a fantastic device, and you should consider it. There's no reason to hobble yourself with iOS if that operating system doesn't work for you. So it works for me for what I do. My computing needs are pretty meager, though.
All right, wonderful. Kevin Tofel, he's at ZDNet, and on Twitter, Kevin C. Tofel. Kevin, thank you so much. Have a great holiday, and we'll see you next week.
Sounds great. Enjoy your holidays, Mike.
Right, bye-bye. You can subscribe to Tech News Today anywhere fine podcasts are aggregated, or you can choose some other way to subscribe at twit.tv/TNT. You can watch us live every weekday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1700 UTC at twit.tv/live. You can follow us on Twitter at Tech News Today TV. You can follow me on Twitter at Mike Elgan, that's ELGAN. Also, don't miss our other news show, Tech News Tonight at 4 p.m. Pacific every weekday. And that is the Tech News Today. The show is produced by Jason Cleanthus and edited by Anthony Nielsen. My name is Mike Elgan. Thanks for tuning in. And by the way, Twit is closed Thursday and Friday for the Thanksgiving holiday here in the U.S. So we'll see you right back here on Monday.